Hello and welcome to VendOp News, where I cover the weekly happenings in the supply chain and procurement markets. My name is Jay Bartels, so let's just dive right in. Our first article today takes a look at the sensitive relationship between Washington and Beijing. Some consider current events a battle for tech supremacy between the US and China. Supply chains dependent upon China should be paying close attention to what's going on there. Issues began back in 2016 with sanctions against the telecom equipment company ZTE. And just in the last year, Washington has revised its export control rules 3 times to target Huawei. This comes in addition to over 2 years of efforts at blacklisting another 70 Chinese companies. Actions like these have suppliers cautious about the long arm of American law. Experts say the message is clear. Move production facilities out of China, reduce ties with Chinese clients, and stand with the US. The last 36 months have seen several companies decamping from China. Among those relocating are both Apple and Google, who shifted out of China and into Vietnam, India, Thailand, and Malaysia. But can these alternative supply chains offer the same efficiency? For many, these ongoing tensions signal the end of an era. For more than 30 years, China has offered the best mix of cost, quality, human resources, and infrastructure. Now we face a reality filled with nationalism, trade, protectionism, and a reliance on the immature supply chains emerging in Southeast Asia. And for technology companies, China is a production base and a fast-growing market. 20% of Apple's total revenue, for example, came from China. This reality has led Apple to be one of the many companies trying not to choose a side. Apple is shifting away from China while simultaneously and aggressively cultivating local Chinese supplier to address the Chinese market of over 1.4 billion people. What was previously meant to leverage bargaining power for Apple is now a strategy to diversify geopolitical risks. But playing both sides could land Apple on China's new unreliable entity list, created to document companies that are considered to have treated Chinese companies unfairly. While no one has officially made this list yet, Chinese state-backed newspapers have named Apple, Qualcomm, Cisco, and Boeing as future possibilities. Few market watchers believe tensions will die down, regardless of who wins the upcoming presidential election in the US. Regardless, companies must continue to increase their supply chain agility without sinking the boat in these murky geopolitical waters. Our next digest today covers the impact of supply chain investment on customer experience. A recent global survey by Accenture showed that prior to the pandemic, only 10% of companies were focused on customer-centric supply chains. Strengthening that supply chain through increased visibility, risk identification, and increased flexibility will help ensure that customers and companies get the results they want. The businesses that have invested in their supply chains are outperforming their peers in several metrics. Supply chain investment has resulted in a 13% increase in revenue, contributing 52% to the total revenue of the company. Compare that to just 5% decline and a 17% contribution made by companies who have not yet invested in improvements. Another recent survey on supply chain resilience cited only 22.6% of companies using technology to map relationships between suppliers and tiers. Mapping these relationships is essential to visibility, risk identification, and flexibility. Companies that invest in supply chain improvements increase their ability to pivot through challenges and ultimately deliver quality and consistent results to their customers. Our final article today takes a look at the drastic changes COVID-19 has brought to supply chain management education. What has previously been considered a niche area of supply chain is now at the forefront of business education curriculums. The name of the game used to be driving down cost, but now it's all about mastering operational resilience. This means a focus on short supply chains that reduce risks and offer agility and sustainability. In the mid-20th century, cross-border trade comprised just 5% of the GDP. Today, cross-border trade makes up closer to 50%. with some global supply chains utilizing components from multiple countries. Avoiding geopolitical turmoil and future global disruptions like the current pandemic are key concerns. There is also a greater focus now on the roles of the public sector decision makers and government relations. Less focus is being placed on mathematical models and more on practice-based research. These changes have professors working directly alongside companies to solve issues, develop new approaches, and test them in real time. COVID-19 has changed the world and our textbooks on supply chain as well. Thank you for watching VendOp News. Again, my name is Jay Bartels. I am the CEO of VendOp. At VendOp, we manage the performance of vendors and suppliers and save companies millions of dollars each year. If you would like to join a panel discussion and with other industry leaders, reach out to me via LinkedIn or email me at jay@vendop.com. Thanks for taking the time today.